much more mild today.
Yes, but for some of you, it may feel a bit coolish. But we are going to be in for a pleasant day overall today and tomorrow. And that's all going to be ahead of another cold front that is going to arrive late Tuesday. And then for the second half of the week, temperatures will gradually start to go down. And I do believe we'll get on the colder side. So here's a look at temperatures to head out. We have some 60s, especially along the coastline, but some 50s around interior locations. And it is currently 67 in Pompano, while Fort Lauderdale's at 62. And then out west by Plantation, it's 57, 58 degrees in Davie. And then we move on into northern Miami-Dade, 60s and 70s along the immediate coastline, where it's much cooler inland, 58 in Opa-locka, 63 in Hialeah, Doral at 61, Sweetwater reporting 59, and around southern sections, West Kendall 58, 62 for you in Homestead, Florida Keys 60s and 70s here, 68 in Key Largo to 71 degrees currently in Key West, with light winds now coming in more off the ocean. More details on your local weather for the week coming up in a few minutes. Good morning, South Florida. We are waking up to partly cloudy to mostly clear skies, and where we have a little bit more cloud cover, that's where temperatures are milder, but where we have clear skies, that's where we have some cooler readings. So you may still need to sport around maybe a light sweater or jacket that you'll safely put away in the afternoon. So here's a look at the radar. It is dry. I don't believe we'll have measurable rain this week. At best, ahead of another front, maybe a spotty shower heading into tomorrow late in the day, but that's pretty much it. We're not expecting a lot of activity. In fact, a 0 to 10% rain chance. 67 in Pompano, Fort Lauderdale Executive, it's 57, 59 in Hollywood, 60 in Miami, and 58 degrees in West Kendall, 59 for you in Homestead. And then we move on into the Keys. We have 60s and 50s here, 68 degrees in Key Largo, 70 in Marathon to 71 degrees for you in Key West. And the winds are calm along the East Coast, but they're starting to shift more out of the east-southeast today, and that's going to signal a warm up, an avenue being open for this next system to move on through. So high pressure will start to slide into the western Atlantic Ocean. It'll be warmer between today and tomorrow, and then the front slides in late in the day. Maybe a spotty shower at best, but then cooling will gradually happen throughout the week. We're going to have more sunshine. It'll be seasonable temperature-wise, very pleasant midweek, and then I believe it'll get much colder between Thursday and Friday. Your boating forecast right now looks okay. No advisories. Southeast winds 5 to 10 knots. Seas building 2 to 3 feet. Biscayne Bay at a light chop. And around the Florida Keys, we don't have any advisories, but seas inside the reef 1 to 2, 2 to 5 foot seas beyond the reef, and early on light to a moderate chop, up becoming a smooth to a light chop later today. And the next tide cycle, that is going to be high tide at 7:40 this morning in Fort Lauderdale. So today we're going to have temperatures climbing into the 70s. Tonight we're going to be in the 60s, and then on your extended outlook, South Florida, by the end of the week it promises to be much colder. And that's your 7-on-7 forecast.
Dave, good morning.
Good morning, Tavares, Olivia, South Florida. Thank you so much for starting your day with us. So far, so good. Some areas feeling very nice and comfortable. Some spots on the coolish side, and that tends to be interior locations. But the overall trend is that it's going to get a little warmer between today and tomorrow, and that's on response to another front that should arrive late in the day. So let's get you out the door and show you what it's like along the East Coast. This is where we're finding 60s. We have 67 in Pompano, Dania Beach at 61, and then out west, Tamarack 56, same for Plantation, Davie reporting 58. And then we take a look at northern Miami-Dade, 60s, especially along the coastline, Miami Beach at 68, Hialeah 63, but then Miami Lakes, you're down to 57. And we also have 50s and 60s down south, 58 in Kendall, 60 in Cutler Bay, with the Florida Keys in the 60s and 70s at this hour. Isla Mirada reporting 69. Your full forecast coming up in a few minutes. In South Florida, we are waking up to partly cloudy to mostly clear skies. Milder air is definitely going to be felt throughout today. Some spots this morning may be on the coolish side, so you may need to sport around a light sweater or jacket, but you'll be safely putting them away in the afternoon. Right now, looking at dry conditions on the radar, and it'll stay dry today. Right now, it is 67 in Pompano Beach, 62 in Fort Lauderdale, Hollywood down to 59, Hialeah 58. 60 in Miami to 58 in Kendall, and then we head south into Homestead and it is 59 degrees. And then we move on into the Keys, 60s and 70s here. Islamorada at 69, 71 for you in Key West with calm winds along the east coast, but they're shifting out of the east southeast, signaling a warm up. So here's what we can expect. Yes, warmer air, high temperatures climbing into the 70s as high pressure starts to break down and move into the western Atlantic Ocean. So that opens up the avenue for another cold front to move on through. And that will happen late in the day on Tuesday. Most of the day will feature pretty much dry conditions, but then we're going to get some clouds on the increase, and then outside of a spotty shower, we're not expecting much activity. We have this front moving in, so Wednesday we'll have definitely a lot of sunshine and seasonably cool weather across the region. Your boating forecast calls for no advisory. Southeast winds 5 to 10 knots, seas building 2 to 3 feet. Biscayne Bay at a light chop. Right now, the Florida Keys coastal waters going between a light to a moderate chop, but that will change to a smooth to light chop. East-southeast winds up to 15 knots. Seas inside the reef 1 to 2, 2 to 5 foot seas beyond the reef. And the next tide cycle will be high tide this morning at 7:40 in Fort Lauderdale, 8:09 for you in Miami. So for today, lots of sunshine, feeling overall warmer with high temperatures in the upper 70s, which is pretty typical for this time of year. By tonight, temperature readings will be in the 60s, and your extended outlook does call for cooler air. On Wednesday, it starts to get colder by the end of the week, and as we move on into the weekend, it should be nice, mild, and seasonable. And that's your 7 on 7 forecast.
Today, good morning, Viv. Happy Monday.
Happy Monday to you as well in South Florida. It was a very nice, pleasant weekend, and today won't be any different. We will have a little bit in the way of a warm up all ahead of yet another front that should cross through sometime late tomorrow, and that one will gradually trickle in the colder air. So here's a look at temperatures. There's a difference between the coastline and around interior areas, and it's pretty much because of the cloud cover. Right now it is 67 in Pompano, 61 in Dania Beach to 57 in Plantation, and then you take a look at Sunrise, Davie 58, 59 degrees, and in northern Miami-Dade, pretty much similar situation, 68 in Miami Beach, and then you take a look at Opa-locka, 58, 56 in the Gables. Heading south, 60 in Cutler Bay, 59 in Homestead, widespread 60s, some spots in the lower 70s across the Keys, Marathon at 71, 65 in Big Pine Key with calm to light winds now shifting off the ocean. More details on your local weather coming up in a few minutes. Good morning, South Florida. It is looking really nice outside, partly cloudy, mostly clear skies, but we have this mild feel. Around interior areas, that's where it feels a bit more coolish. On the radar, it's mostly dry. We won't have to worry about rain today. And over the next several days, really, it'll be a quiet pattern in that department, even though we'll have a front cross through late tomorrow. Currently 67 in Pompano Beach, 66 in Fort Lauderdale, down to 60 in Hollywood, and 58 in Hialeah. Miami at the airport, 60 degrees, 58 in Kendall, up to 64 for you in Homestead and around the Keys. 60s and 70s here. Key Largo, 70 degrees, 71 for you in Marathon, 68 in Cudjoe Key. The wind shifting more off the ocean, and that's signaling a change as high pressures breaking down, moving into the western Atlantic Ocean. It really opens up the avenue for another area of low pressure in front to move in across the eastern United States. So low pressure heads to the northeast, the trailing front heads to the south. So heading into tomorrow, we'll have cloudy periods at best a spotty shower, but the chance for rain limited with this front. It pushes through and will be seasonably cool to start off on Wednesday with a lot more sunshine. Your boating forecast right now looks good. No advisories. Southeast winds today, 5 to 10 knots. Seas building 2 to 3 feet. Biscayne Bay will be at a light chop. And around the Florida Keys, we will have a light to a moderate chop going down to a smooth to a light chop later today. Seas beyond the reef building 2 to 5 feet. And the next tide cycle, that is going to be high tide this morning, happening in Fort Lauderdale at 7:40, 8:09 in Miami. So for today, we'll have lots of sun, feeling overall warmer with high temperatures in the upper 70s. That's pretty typical for this time of year. And then we move on into tonight. Mild overall in the mid to upper 60s with near steady temperatures between 65 and 69 degrees. Your extended outlook has a front crossing through late in the day on Tuesday and will gradually cool down, starting off chillier Thursday and Friday in the 50s, high temperatures in the low 70s, and it should be nice and seasonable for the weekend. Metro 7 on 7.
Hey, hi, Viv.
Hi there. In South Florida, if you go outside before the sun rises, you're going to notice the moon is lighting up the night sky, and it's almost full. The full moon of January is known as the wolf moon, and it is set to peak tonight, and it will be quite beautiful out there. So you'll want to make sure that you get a glimpse of it. But the warmth is set to continue between today and tomorrow in response to another front that will cross through at some point tomorrow night. Now here's a look at the temperatures, local temperatures, because some spots are on the coolish side while the coastline tends to be warmer. 70 in Oakland Park. It is 66 in Fort Lauderdale, but 59 degrees in Tamarack. And in northern Miami-Dade, we have, for the most part, 60s, 63 in Hialeah, 69 in Miami Beach to 58 in Opa-locka. Heading south, 62 in Cutler Bay with the 60s and 70s for the Florida Keys. Your full forecast coming up in a few minutes. Monday morning, South Florida, we're waking up to partly cloudy, mostly clear skies. It looks beautiful outside and it's feeling pleasant. Some spots may feel cool-ish to start off, but overall, warmer conditions expected between today and tomorrow. It is looking dry for your morning commute. So let's talk temperatures. Currently 66 in Fort Lauderdale, Miami reporting 60 degrees, but then we zoom on into Broward, some spots in the western suburbs where skies have been clear. That's where temperatures have dropped down into the 50s, 58 in Coral Springs, Pembroke Pines at 60 degrees. Then we move on into Miami-Dade County, 70 in Sunny Isles, but then North Miami at 61. So there's a difference between the coast and as we move into metro and coastal community and interior communities. 58 in Opa-locka, 60 in Miami, then heading south, South Miami at 58, same for West Kendall. The Florida Keys, temperature readings here 60s and 70s, 69 in Key Largo, 72 in Key West, with the wind shifting off the ocean, and that always signals a warm up. And that's because high pressure is breaking down, sliding into the western Atlantic, allowing another front to move into the eastern half of the country. So tomorrow we'll have cloudy periods, maybe a spotty shower, not anticipating a whole lot of activity, but more sunshine will be in the works for Wednesday with seasonably cool temperatures. Your boating forecast looks good. No advisories. Southeast winds today, 5 to 10 knots, seas building 2 to 3 feet. Biscayne Bay will be at a light chop, and around the Florida Keys, light to a moderate chop. No advisories here. Seas beyond the reef building 2 to 5 feet. Now the next tide cycle is going to be high tide coming up in the next hour at 7:40 for Fort Lauderdale, 8:09 in Miami. Highs today in the upper 70s with lots of sunshine. Tonight, mild with near steady temperatures in the mid to upper 60s, with your extended outlook calling for a slow cooling happening by the middle to the end of the week with a chilly start on Friday. Metro 7 on 7.
It's Monday. Good morning, Viv.
Good morning. And the overall pattern is trending warmer between today and tomorrow. all ahead of another front that should cross through late Tuesday, and that one will gradually help some colder air trickle in by the middle to late portion of the week. Now, if you are heading outside the door this morning, some spots tend to be a bit more coolish. 70 in Oakland Park, 66 in Fort Lauderdale, and then out west, Sunrise at 61. Same for Davie to 57 in Plantation. Northern Miami-Dade, we have 60s, 50s in there too. Opelika, Miami Lakes at 59, Miami Shores 58. At the airport at 65. Heading south into the lower 60s and across the Keys, upper 60s to low 70s. Isla Mirada at 71. And we do have mostly clear skies in place, but to our north, that's where we're following the next system that is set to move in. More details on this coming up in about 15 minutes. Good morning, South Florida. Waking up to mostly clear skies and pleasant conditions currently on the radar. It's mostly dry and will stay mostly dry today. And as far as temperatures are concerned, 60s, 70s out there. And throughout the morning, we've had some 50s in the western suburbs, but right now it's 66 in Fort Lauderdale, 60 in Coral Springs to 57 in Sunrise. Then we move on south into northern Miami-Dade, 71 in Sunny Isles, 64 in Hialeah, and then around southern Dade, West Kendall reporting 64, 65 in Homestead, 60s and 70s for the Keys, 71 in Marathon to 69 in Cudjoe Key. The breeze already shifting out of the east-southeast, anywhere between 5 to 13 miles per hour. So high pressure is breaking down. Some warmer air is on the way between today and tomorrow, and that's all ahead of a front that will be moving into the eastern half of the country. So throughout the day tomorrow, it'll be cloudy at times. There could be a spotty shower as the front crosses through, but not expecting much. But once it arrives, we're going to get more sunshine and seasonably cool air filtering in Wednesday, and it'll gradually get colder. Your boating forecast calls for no advisories. Southeast winds 5 to 10 knots. Biscayne Bay, light to moderate chop. Light to moderate chop in the Keys as well with no advisories. Next tide cycle, that'll be high tide at 10:14 for Key West. So for today, highs in the upper 70s, feeling warmer. And then by tonight, mainly clear with near steady temperatures in the mid to upper 60s. But by the time the next front crosses through, the air will gradually cool down back in the 50s on Thursday, low to mid 50s by Friday. And that's your 7 on 7 forecast. Please don't go anywhere. 7 News today in Florida. We'll be right back.
The Monday forecast. Good morning, Viv.
Good morning in South Florida. Some of you may have noticed this morning that the moon was lighting up the night sky, and it is going to be full heading into tonight. It's going to peak tonight for sure, and the full moon of January is known as the wolf moon. So make sure that you get a glimpse of it later today. But the warmth is set to return between today and tomorrow, all ahead of a front that crosses through late in the day. And right now, waking up into the 60s, 70s along the coast. We've had some 50s in the western suburbs, but very few of them. 70 in Oakland Park, 66 in Fort Lauderdale, and then up to 61 in Davie and Sunrise. Northern Miami-Dade, 60s here. We have 64 in Hialeah, 65 at the airport heading south. Into Pinecrest at 65, and around the Keys, 60s and 70s, 71 in Isla Mirada, 72 in Key West. It is mostly clear, but here's our next front, producing wet weather around northern sections of the state and into Georgia and the Carolinas. But that next front is going to be bringing us some changes, and I'll have those details coming up in my full forecast. Morning, South Florida, waking up to bright sunshine. It looks beautiful outside and it's feeling comfortable. And on the radar, it is looking mostly dry out there. We're going to continue dry today and into tomorrow, even though a front will be settling in. Right now, it's 66 in Fort Lauderdale to 59 in Coral Springs, 60 in Pembroke Pines. And we're going to continue to gradually warm up. Some spots this morning have been a bit coolish, but then we take a look at the coastline in Sunny Isles at 71. Same for Virginia Key, 65. Currently in Westview, 64 in Hialeah to 65 in downtown Miami, 64 for you in West Kendall, and around the Florida Keys, temperature readings here in the 60s and 70s. Key Largo at 70, 68 for Cudjoe Key. The breeze shifting off the ocean, and that's what's signaling a warm up between today and tomorrow as high pressure breaks down and moves into the western Atlantic. And that means a front will be impacting the eastern half of the country. So we're going to be following it closely, but ahead the air will be noticeably warmer. So as we look ahead into the rest of the week, we're going to have this front cross through late Tuesday. So we're going to see cloudiness across South Florida from time to time and maybe a spotty shower, but this front will be limited in the moisture department. It crosses through and then it'll be comfortably cool, seasonable Wednesday morning with high temperatures in the lower 70s. And then we'll gradually have colder air build in across South Florida, and we'll definitely experience that between Thursday and Friday as lows tumble into the 50s. But the coldest day or coldest air will be felt on Friday. Your boating forecast calls for no advisories, seas building 2 to 3 feet. No advisories for boaters in the Keys here too, with the next tide cycle already underway. High tide for Fort Lauderdale, but coming up in a few minutes for Miami at 8:09. So for today, lots of sunshine, temperatures in the upper 70s. Tonight, steady temperatures in the mid to upper 60s, with your extended outlook calling for the next front to arrive late Tuesday. We start to cool down Thursday with a low of 58, 56 on Friday. And then over the weekend, it should be nice, mild, and seasonable. That's your 7 on 7 forecast. Make it a great day. To continue heading into today, tomorrow, all ahead of a front that crosses through late in the day Tuesday. Right now, looking at temperatures warming up into the 70s along the coastline. It's 70 in Fort Lauderdale. It's 59 degrees, though, in Parkland, waiting for the updates. And in Sunrise, at 65, same for Davie. So some spots did wake up on the cooler side. Now, around northern Miami-Dade, we have 70 degrees in Miami Beach, 66 degrees in North Miami to 68 in Miami. And then we head south, Cutler Bay at 66, 65 in Homestead, feeling great as well in the Keys, 71 Isla Mirada, Key Largo, 73 in Key West. It is mostly dry, clear across South Florida, not so clear around northern sections of the state where we're following another cold front. More details on this coming up in 15 minutes.
I'm so grateful that
You'll feel it, although it feels comfortable outside. On the radar, it's dry and you won't have to worry about rain, and then rain won't be the cause for your traffic troubles this morning either. Temperature wise, we've seen a difference between the coast and interior areas, but now conditions are starting to get more uniform. It is 70 in Fort Lauderdale. We have 65 in Sunrise, 65 in Pembroke Pines. Fort Lauderdale reporting 70 to 67 in North Miami, 68 in Hialeah and downtown Miami. And as we head south, Homestead reporting 67, upper 60s, low 70s for the Florida Keys. Key Largo at 71, Isla Mirada 2, 68 for Big Pine Key. And the breeze has shifted out of the east southeast, and that is why conditions are starting to warm up. And that's due to high pressure breaking down and sliding into the western Atlantic Ocean. So we get this change in wind direction. But that's just simply opening up the avenue for another system to move into the eastern half of the country. And we're watching it over here, right around the Gulf Coast states. So where the warmer air is located, we're already noticing some wet weather across parts of the Panhandle and areas of the deep south. So our outlook calls for this system to cross through tomorrow. So you'll see periods of clouds, temperatures will be near average, and then we move on into Wednesday, which starts to cool down early in the morning, but it'll be seasonable for this time of year, into the lower 60s, high temperatures in the low to mid 70s. And then we'll gradually cool down as we get a shot of colder air between Thursday and Friday, when we're going to be back in the 50s and sporting around the extra layer or two. Your boating forecast calls for no advisories. Southeast winds 5 to 10 knots, seas building 2 to 3 feet. Biscayne Bay at a light chop. Florida Keys light to a moderate chop here with seas beyond the reef building 2 to 5 feet. And the next tide cycle, that is going to be high tide coming up at 10:14 in Key West. So for today, we'll have lots of sunshine, feeling overall warmer with highs in the upper 70s, mid to upper 60s. Near steady temperatures expected overnight, with your extended outlook calling for the 50s to return, especially on Thursday. And that's your 7 on 7 forecast.
All right, Viv, a newly released report shows what sparked the deadly listeria outbreak linked to Boar's Head brand.
Hollandale Beach, so temperatures are starting to warm up uniformly. It is 65 in Hialeah, Miami Beach at 66, 64 degrees for you in West Kendall. And as far as our forecast is concerned, we're going to continue to warm up, all in response to a front. So our high temperatures today will climb into the upper 70s. And then tomorrow you'll notice some extra cloudiness across the region, maybe a spotty shower as another front settles in. But we don't have any boating advisories in effect. Southeast winds 5 to 10 knots, seas building 2 to 3 feet. Biscayne Bay will be at a light chop. Light to moderate chop in the Keys, going down to a smooth to light chop later today. Seas inside the reef 1 to 2, 2 to 5 foot seas beyond the reef. And we're going to get a high tide cycle at 10:14 for you in Key West. So for today, we'll have lots of sunshine, feeling overall warmer, temperatures in the upper 70s. Then we move on into tonight, mainly clear, near steady temperatures, and then the full moon of January will basically peak, and it's known as the wolf moon. Temperatures in the mid to upper 60s. But once the front crosses through, it'll be seasonably cool on Wednesday, and then Thursday going down more into the 50s. The coldest air this week will be felt by Friday. That's your 7 on 7 forecast.
This is a fast track alert.
Hi, good morning to you.
68 in Miami, 65 in Pembroke Pines. Key West reporting 73 with a southeast wind 8 to 13 miles per hour. Humidity at 87%. And here's a look at the local storm tracking radar. Mostly dry weather underway, and we're going to stay dry today. And believe it or not, with our next front too, just a very small chance of seeing a spotty shower. But high pressure is sliding into the western Atlantic, and we're going to have this system move into the eastern half of the country. So that's why overall pattern is trending warmer, yet still pretty pleasant across South Florida. And our forecasters call for temperatures to be really comfortable tomorrow. There could be periods of clouds with this front moving in, but then on Wednesday, conditions will be cooling down across South Florida with a lot more sunshine and another area of high pressure building in across the southeast United States. Little by little, colder air will be filtering in across the region, and we'll feel it between Thursday and Friday. Possibly the coldest day this week will be on Friday. No boating advisories in effect. Southeast winds 5 to 10 knots for the Florida Keys, up to 15 knot winds, light to a moderate chop. That will improve later today with the next tide cycle. High tide at 10:14 for you in Key West. So for today, we'll have lots of sunshine, temperatures between 78, 79 degrees. It'll be near steady in the mid to upper 60s tonight, under mostly clear to partly clear cloudy skies. And we're also going to have the full moon of January, known as the wolf moon peak. So it will be lighting up the night sky. Your extended outlook has temperatures in the mid 60s to start off tomorrow morning, highs in the upper 70s, but it'll be seasonably cool on Wednesday, and then we'll see more in the way of widespread 50s on Thursday, going down on Friday, but over the weekend it should be seasonable. And that's your 7 on 7 forecast. Make it a great day.
Topping the buzz this morning, actor Jimon Hansu. Hey.
A very pretty start to the day, South Florida, and it's feeling pleasant. And between today and tomorrow, the warmth returns across South Florida temporarily as another front settles in late Tuesday. And it will be nice for the second half of the week, but then it gets gradually colder. Right now, to get you out the door, temperatures have been bouncing back to warmer values. We're in the low 70s for the most part in Broward County, 72 in Fort Lauderdale, Dania Beach, Davie up to 71. Then we move on into northern Miami-Dade, 60s, 70s here, Miami Beach at 72, 67 in the shores to 72 in Miami Lakes. Then we head south, 73 in West Kendall, 67 in Homestead, and around the Florida Keys, widespread 70s here, 74 in Marathon, as well for you in Key West. So here's a look at the big view. We're seeing sunny skies across South Florida, not so much over northern sections of the state, as warmer air, more moisture settles into the area in response to the next system moving into the eastern half of the country. More details on that coming up in 15 minutes. Good morning, South Florida. We're waking up into the 70s at 72 in Miami, Pompano Beach, 74 in Key West, with the winds out of the southeast 9 to 12 miles per hour, humidity at 78%. And here's a look at the local storm tracking radar. Mostly dry weather underway across Broward, Dade, and the Florida Keys. It will stay dry today for sure. Now, high pressure is sliding into the western Atlantic Ocean, and that is opening up the avenue for another system to impact the eastern half of the country. We're already noticing cloudiness, shower activity around northern sections into the mid-Atlantic states, and then eventually we're going to have the leading edge cross through, but it will be warmer but pleasant between today and tomorrow. Now tomorrow there will be some extra clouds, so periods of clouds. Temperatures will be in the 70s in the afternoon, maybe a spotty shower possible with the leading edge, but then as we move on into the middle part of the week, we'll have more sunshine and it should be seasonably cool. So we're going to be warm, waking up into lower 60s, some spots in the 50s. So similar readings to this morning, and then we've warmed up in the afternoon. Your boating forecast right now calls for no advisory. Southeast winds 5 to 10 knots, seas building 2 to 3 feet. Biscayne Bay will be at a light chop, and going between a light to a moderate chop in the Keys with an east to southeast wind near 15 knots and seas beyond the reef building 2 to 5 feet. Now the next tide cycle, that is going to be low tide at 1:40 this afternoon in Fort Lauderdale and at 1:49 in Miami, happening in the 2 o'clock hour for Key West. Otherwise for today, lots of sunshine. The overall feel will be warmer with high temperatures climbing into the upper 70s, anywhere between 78, 79 degrees. By tonight, ocean breeze, very light. We're going to have mostly clear skies, so you'll be able to get a glimpse of the full moon of January, known as the wolf moon, and it will be lighting up the night sky. Temperatures in the mid to upper 60s, Fort Lauderdale, Miami 65, 69 for Key West. And on your extended outlook, South Florida, front moves in late in the day on Tuesday, setting the stage for a beautiful Wednesday. It starts to cool down on Thursday. We'll have a chilly start on Friday, but it should be nice and comfortable for the upcoming weekend. And that's your 7 on 7 forecast. Good morning, South Florida. Gorgeous day underway. It's feeling comfortable. And if you're headed out to the beach or want to go out in your boat, we don't have any advisories. Winds out of the southeast 5 to 10 knots, seas building 2 to 3 feet, Biscayne Bay at a light chop. Light to moderate chop in the Keys. It'll go down to a smooth to light chop later this afternoon, with seas inside the reef building 1 to 2 feet, 2 to 5 foot seas beyond the reef. And the next tide cycle is going to be low tide at 1:40 in Fort Lauderdale, 1:49 in Miami to 2:26 in Key West. So for today, lots of sunshine, feeling warmer. High temperatures this time around will range in the upper 70s, 79 in Miami, 78 for Fort Lauderdale. And overnight lows will be steady in the 60s, mid to upper 60s under mostly clear skies. So you'll be able to see the full moon of January, the wolf moon, light up the night sky. And on your extended outlook South Florida, we're going to have another front cross through late in the day. So we'll have periods of clouds across the region, but it will be beautiful, sunny, feeling coolish but seasonable on Wednesday with a low of 61. And then we gradually start to get a little colder. The coldest day this week will likely be on Friday. That's your 7 on 7. Morning, South Florida. We're waking up to bright sunshine out there with mostly dry conditions underway. It feels comfortable. A very nice day is expected across South Florida, and you're not going to have to worry about rain. Temperatures have been climbing. Some spots this morning were a bit coolish, especially in the western suburbs. But right now it's 73 in Fort Lauderdale, 76 in Sunrise, 76 in Plantation. And then we move on into northern Miami-Dade. It's 72 in Opelika, 74 in basically in Sweetwater, Kendall, and also for you in Palmetto Bay, 75 in Homestead. Florida Keys well into the 70s. Uniform readings here. Island Rod at 73, 73 in Cudjoe Key. Now the breeze is out of the east-southeast, anywhere between 8 to 10 miles per hour to 13 miles per hour in the Florida Keys, signaling the return of an ocean breeze and a warm up because high pressure is sliding basically to the east and to the western Atlantic. So it's opening up the avenue for another system to move into the eastern half of the country. So around northern sections of the state, that's where we actually have some rain. So today, tomorrow, a little warmer, but tomorrow you'll have periods of clouds, maybe a spotty shower late in the day as the front crosses through, but not expecting much out of it. It'll be limited in the moisture department. On Wednesday, we're going to have more sunshine. It'll be seasonably cool, so lows will be in the low 60s and high temperatures in the low to mid 70s. Your boating forecast calls for no advisories. Southeast winds 5 to 10 knots. Seas building 2 to 3 feet. Biscayne Bay at a light chop, and around the Florida Keys light to a moderate chop with seas beyond the reef building 2 to 5 feet. Now the next tide cycle, that will be low tide at 149 in Miami, 226 for you in Key West. And today's highs will be in the upper 70s, so certainly feeling a lot warmer. It should be nice tonight. Steady temperatures in the mid to upper 60s with your extended outlook calling for temperatures to gradually cool down by the end of the week after we have this front cross through. So by Thursday, more in the way of widespread mid upper 50s, low to mid 50s, colder come Friday morning. And that's your 7 on 7 forecast.